I'm here with Nathan Yii, who's just made a very interesting addition to our knowledge on the whole issue of binding death benefit nominations in the context of estate planning. Nathan, I wanted to ask you if you could elaborate a little bit on the difference between BDBNs and self-managed funds on the one hand and BDBNs in public offer funds on the other.
Thank you, Rob. Look, my thoughts with regard to binding nominations and self-managed superannuation funds is that you have a lot more flexibility. So you do have the ability to nominate or put together a cascading nomination. So you might say on the death of the member, it goes to their spouse, and then if the spouse is not alive, it goes, say, in favour of the member's deceased estate. Of course, we know that self-managed superannuation funds nominations don't need to lapse or don't have the 3-year lapsing rule that automatically applies, with Regulation 6.17A not being an issue. And we've got High Court authority on that. With externally managed superannuation funds, on the other hand, you've got a bit more formality and rigidity in that, in the sense that most externally managed superannuation funds that I've come across don't allow us to make cascading nominations, and it's just a very first, to say the surviving spouse or to the estate or a combination of such. It doesn't actually allow us to say nominate cascading provisions or cascading beneficiaries in the event, say, the spouse does not survive or the child does not survive. It doesn't actually allow you to nominate your estate in that case there. And then the issue becomes, well, the surviving spouse, if the deceased spouse, they have to then update the nomination to nominate that cascading person at the time when the spouse passes away. And then the other thing as well to note too is that the 3-year lapsing rule may apply, and it is likely to apply to externally managed funds. Another important thing to note as well is when dealing with externally managed funds, whether or not the nominations are binding all depends on the trustee in question. So it is important to understand what the governing rules of the externally managed fund are and not assume that you can make binding death benefit nominations. It all depends on the actual fund itself that you're dealing with. So don't just assume that things that say that they are binding are at law binding.
Nathan, thank you very much for that summary.
Thank you.